The starship hovered silently above the small Montana farm as darkness fell. Inside his modest wooden house, Lee Sung-ho sat in his old armchair, reading a book about World War II tactics. At 78, his body might have grown frail, but his mind remained sharp. The slight tremble in his hands as he turned a page was the only sign of his age. A strange blue light filtered through his windows. Sung-ho closed his book calmly and placed it on the side table. He had been waiting for this moment for decades. The light grew brighter. The old clock on his wall stopped ticking. The room temperature dropped suddenly. Sung-ho stood up slowly, using his cane more for appearance than necessity. He had long ago learned the value of being underestimated. Right on schedule, he murmured to himself as the light engulfed him completely. When Sung-ho opened his eyes again, he found himself in a large metal room with smooth walls that glowed with a faint blue light. Strange symbols covered the surfaces. The air smelled clean but artificial, like a hospital but with an unfamiliar undertone. 4 tall beings stood watching him. They had blue-tinted skin and large almond-shaped eyes that blinked sideways. Their limbs were too long, their heads slightly too large to be human. They wore matching silver uniforms with no visible fasteners. "The specimen is conscious," said one of them in a clicking language that Sung-ho somehow understood perfectly. This one wore additional markings on his uniform. His name was Bae Min-ho, the commander. "This is not what we requested," said another alien, Yoon Jun-ki. "The harvester was programmed to collect prime human specimens. This one is deteriorated, elderly, of limited research value." Sung-ho remained still, his face showing only mild confusion. Inside, he was memorizing every detail of the room, the location of the door panels, the position of what appeared to be control stations, the weapons holstered at the alien's sides. "Should we dispose of it and try again?" asked a third alien, Oh Hyun-woo, who stood near what looked like medical equipment. The commander, Min-ho, stepped closer to Sung-ho. "No. Resources were expended to obtain this specimen. We will conduct basic testing before disposal. Perhaps its age will provide useful comparative data." Sung-ho allowed a slight tremble to enter his hands. Let them think him afraid. Let them think him weak. "Take it to examination room 3, Min-ho ordered. 2 aliens approached Sung-ho and guided him through sliding doors into a hallway. Sung-ho shuffled along slowly, hunched over his cane, noting the layout of the ship. 3 intersections, 2 security checkpoints, approximately 40 meters to what appeared to be a central hub. The examination room contained a metal table and various equipment Sung-ho didn't recognize. The aliens directed him to lie down. He complied, maintaining his facade of confused cooperation. "Its vital signs are unusual," said the 4th alien, Na Young-mi, studying a floating display. "Heart rate steady, no elevation in stress hormones. Brain activity patterns unlike our previous subjects." "The elderly ones are often mentally diminished," said Jun-ki dismissively. "It probably doesn't understand what's happening." Young Mai looked uncertain. "That doesn't align with these readings. Its brain activity suggests high alertness and focused attention." Sung-ho stared at the ceiling, pretending not to understand. Inside, he was counting seconds, mapping movements, preparing. "Begin the primary scan," ordered Hyun-woo. A large device lowered from the ceiling above Sung-ho. As it hummed to life, Sung-ho felt the familiar warming sensation inside his bloodstream. The nanites, awakening after years of dormancy, responding to the alien technology. "Wait," Young-mi said suddenly, staring at her display. "I'm detecting something unusual near its cerebral cortex. Some kind of technology." The other aliens gathered around the display, their attention diverted. Sung-ho's fingers twitched slightly as the nanites reached full activation. "That's impossible," Jun-ki said. "Humans don't have that level of neural interface technology." "Inform the commander," Hyun-woo ordered. "This specimen requires closer examination." As Young-mi moved toward a communication panel, Sung-ho's lips curved into a subtle smile. The aliens had made their first mistake. They had brought aboard exactly the wrong kind of human. Not a helpless elderly man, but a sentinel who had been waiting patiently for this very encounter. The trap had been set. And Sung-Ho was exactly where he needed to be. Sung-Ho lay perfectly still on the examination table as three aliens worked at different stations around him. Their blue fingers moved quickly over floating screens filled with strange symbols. The main scientist, Na Young-mi, kept looking from her screen to Sung-Ho with growing confusion. "The scan results make no sense," Young-mi said. "His cellular structure shows signs of extensive modification." Commander Min-ho entered the room, his tall figure casting a shadow over Sung-Ho. "Explain." "This human's body contains microscopic machines," Young-mi replied. "They appear integrated with his biological systems." Min-ho leaned closer to examine Sung-Ho. "Can it understand us?" "Unknown," said Yoon Jun-ki, another scientist. "But its brain activity suggests it comprehends more than it shows." Sung-Ho maintained his expression of mild confusion. His mind worked quickly, evaluating his situation. The aliens had discovered some aspects of his enhancements, but not their full extent. This could work to his advantage. "Continue the examination," Min-ho ordered. "I want to know what we're dealing with." As the aliens prepared more equipment, Sung-Ho's mind drifted back to the day he had been transformed. It was 1973, deep below a mountain in Colorado. He had been 47 then, already a decorated military officer with extensive combat experience. "This will hurt, Major Lee," the scientist had told him. "The nanites need to integrate with your neural pathways." The pain had been beyond description, but when it ended, Sung-Ho had become something more than human. His aging process slowed dramatically, his strength and reflexes enhanced. His mind connected to a network of microscopic machines that could interface with technology and repair his body. Project Sentinel had created 12 such soldiers, each sent to live quiet lives across the world, waiting and watching for the day aliens might come. In the present, Young-mi pressed a device against Sung-Ho's temple. He felt a slight tingling as it attempted to scan his brain more deeply. "There's a barrier," she said with surprise. "The machines in his body are actively blocking our scan." Min-ho's expression darkened. "Increase power." Young-mi adjusted the settings. The tingling became a sharp pain, but Sung-Ho showed no reaction. The nanites in his bloodstream worked harder, protecting his neural pathways from intrusion. "No effect," Young-mi reported. "The machines are adapting to counter our technology." "This is deliberate," Min-ho said, his voice hardening. "This human has defensive systems specifically designed against our scanning methods." Oh Hyun-woo, who had been analyzing blood samples, looked up. "Commander, the machines in his bloodstream appear to be communicating with each other. They're organizing." Sung-Ho felt the familiar warmth spreading through his body. The nanites were fully activated now, gathering data about the alien technology, preparing his body for action. "Restrain it," Min-ho ordered suddenly. "Full security. Protocols." Two security officers entered the room. As they approached Sung-Ho with restraining devices, he maintained his pretense of frailty and confusion. "Please," he said in a wavering voice, speaking for the first time. "I don't understand what's happening." The guards hesitated slightly at hearing him speak. It was the opening Sung-Ho needed. His hand moved with surprising speed, grabbing one of the scanning devices and pressing it against his palm. The nanites in his fingers interfaced with the alien technology, extracting data. The guards reacted quickly, securing his arms and legs with energy restraints. Sung-Ho didn't resist. He had already gotten what he needed, a basic understanding of their computer systems. "It's stronger than it appears," one guard reported. Min-ho studied Sung-Ho with new interest. "You've been deceiving us, human." Sung-Ho looked up at the commander, dropping his pretense of confusion. His eyes were clear and focused. "My name is Lee Sung-Ho, Project Sentinel Earth Defense Initiative." The room fell silent. The aliens exchanged glances. "Earth has no such defense capability," Min-ho said at last. Sung-Ho smiled slightly. "That's what you were meant to think." Young-mi checked her readings again. Commander, the machines in his body are multiplying, and they're changing their configuration. What is your purpose here? Minho demanded. I should ask you the same question, Sung-Ho replied calmly. You're the ones who came to our planet. Minho turned to the guards. Take him to secure containment. Maximum isolation protocols. No further scanning without my direct supervision. As they moved Sung-Ho from the examination table, he caught a glimpse of the ship schematics on one of the screens. His nanites had already stored and analyzed the information. 23 levels. Engine room on the lowest level. Holding cells for other humans on level 17. Sung-Ho allowed himself to be led away. The aliens thought they were in control. That was exactly what he wanted them to think, for now. The holding cell was a perfect cube with smooth white walls. Sung-Ho sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, his breathing slow and regular. To the aliens watching him through hidden sensors, he appeared to be sleeping or meditating. In reality, his enhanced mind was fully active. The nanites in his bloodstream had been busy for the past 6 hours, strengthening his muscles, increasing his oxygen efficiency, and preparing his body for what would come next. The small machines also analyzed the data he had collected about the ship's systems. Every moment in captivity gave Sung-Ho more information. The door slid open. Commander Minho entered with 4 guards and scientist Young Mi. The commander looked tense. Your biological readings are impossible, Minho said without greeting. No human could survive the modifications we've detected in your cells. Sung-Ho opened his eyes slowly. You're right, I'm not exactly human anymore. Young Mi stepped forward holding a small device. We found a signal emitting from your body. It's attempting to communicate with our ship's systems. Sung-Ho smiled slightly. Curious, isn't it? Minho signaled the guards. 2 of them approached Sung-Ho with restraints. We're moving you to a special chamber for full analysis, the commander said. Your body will be studied component by component. Sung-Ho looked directly at Minho. That would be a mistake. You are not in a position to make threats, Minho replied. It's not a threat. It's a warning. Sung-Ho's voice had changed, becoming stronger, more authoritative. The moment your scientists attempt to dissect me, the nanites in my body will self-destruct with enough force to damage your ship. The guards hesitated, looking to their commander for direction. He's bluffing, one guard said. Young Mi checked her scanner. No, his energy readings are fluctuating. There is a power source within him we can't identify. Minho studied Sung-Ho with new caution. What are you? Sung-Ho stood up slowly, his movements more fluid than before. The elderly shuffle was gone. In 1973, I was selected for a classified program called Project Sentinel, he explained. 12 veteran soldiers, chosen for our experience and psychological stability. We were enhanced with experimental nanotechnology to serve as Earth's first line of defense against potential alien contact. That's impossible, Young Mi said. Human technology couldn't have achieved this 50 years ago. We had help, Sung-Ho said simply. Your people aren't the first to visit Earth. Minho's eyes widened slightly. You've had previous contact? Sung-Ho nodded. A crashed ship in 1947. The pilot didn't survive, but their technology did. It took decades to understand it, but eventually we developed the nanites. If you have such technology, why hide it? Minho asked. Strategy, Sung-Ho replied. We appear weak, divided, technologically primitive. It makes us seem like easy targets, but those who come with harmful intentions discover too late that we're not as helpless as we appear. Young Mi was checking her scanner again. Commander, his cellular structure is changing. The machines in his bloodstream are multiplying rapidly. What's happening? Minho demanded. The next phase, Sung-Ho answered. He held up his hand. The skin rippled, becoming briefly metallic before returning to normal. My entire skeletal structure is reinforced. My muscles can generate 3 times the strength of a normal human. My reaction time is twice as fast. And the nanites can interface with almost any technology. As if to demonstrate, the lights in the cell flickered. The door slid partially open before quickly closing again. Impossible, Minho whispered. I've spent the last 6 hours learning your systems, Sung-Ho continued. The nanites have been mapping your ship's network, finding entry points, understanding your language. Minho stepped back. Guards, full containment protocols. Before the guards could react, Sung-Ho raised both hands. The restraints they held suddenly sparked and deactivated. The guards' weapons powered down simultaneously. I'm not your enemy, Sung-Ho said calmly. I'm simply fulfilling my purpose. First contact assessment. First contact? Youngmi repeated. Each sentinel was trained for different scenarios, Sung-Ho explained. My specialty was diplomatic evaluation. Others were designed for more aggressive responses if needed. Minho's posture became rigid. Are there more like you on our ship? No, Sung-Ho replied. But there are 11 other sentinels on Earth, and if I don't report back within the next 48 hours, they'll assume hostile intent and activate accordingly. The room fell silent as this information sank in. What do you want? Minho finally asked. First, to understand why you're here, Sung-Ho said. Second, to ensure the safety of the other humans you've captured. After that, we can discuss a more formal introduction between our species. Sung-Ho took a step forward. The guards moved to block him, but their weapons remained non-functional. The choice is yours, Commander, Sung-Ho said. Cooperation or conflict, what will it be? The ship's alarms blared through every corridor. Red lights flashed, casting strange shadows as Sung-Ho moved swiftly down the hallway. Behind him, 2 security guards lay unconscious but unharmed. The negotiations with Commander Minho had failed when a higher-ranking alien had taken control of the situation through a video link. Capture Subject 17, the new commander had ordered. Prepare for immediate departure. That was when Sung-Ho decided to implement his backup plan. He pressed his palm against a wall panel. The nanites in his fingertips connected with the ship's systems, creating an interface only he could see. A map of the vessel appeared in his mind. Level 17, holding cells for other human captives. Level 23, engine control. Level 1, escape pods. Security breach in Sector 4. A voice announced over the ship's communication system. All personnel on alert. Sung-Ho smiled slightly. The nanites had successfully created a distraction on the opposite side of the ship. It wouldn't fool them for long, but he only needed a few minutes. He approached an intersection where 3 corridors met. His enhanced hearing detected footsteps approaching from the left. 4 guards, moving quickly. Sung-Ho stepped back into a recessed doorway, his body perfectly still. The guards rushed past, not noticing the shadow in the alcove. Once they were gone, Sung-Ho continued toward his primary objective, the other human captives. When he reached level 17, he found 2 guards stationed outside the holding area. They noticed him immediately. Halt, one shouted, raising a weapon that emitted a blue energy field. Sung-Ho didn't slow down. The nanites in his body accelerated his movements as he closed the distance between them. The first guard fired, but Sung-Ho was no longer where the shot was aimed. He moved with a fluid grace that belied his apparent age, his body remembering combat techniques perfected over decades of training. The first guard went down with a precise strike to a pressure point Sung-Ho had identified in the alien physiology. The second managed to activate an alarm before Sung-Ho disabled him with equal efficiency. Sorry about that, Sung-Ho murmured to the unconscious guards. Nothing personal. He placed his hand on the door control panel. The interface was more complex than others he had encountered, but the nanites adapted quickly. The door slid open. Inside, 12 transparent cells lined the walls. Each contained a human in what appeared to be suspended animation. Men and women of various ages, all floating in a bluish liquid. Sung-Ho approached the control console in the center of the room. As his fingers touched the surface, the nanites created a connection. Information flowed into his mind. Life support parameters, stasis protocols, release procedures. Emergency and containment section. A voice announced over the communication system. Human subject has escaped. All security personnel respond immediately. Sung-Ho worked faster. The nanites translated the alien symbols, helping him navigate the complex system. He initiated the release sequence for all 12 captives. The bluish liquid began draining from the cells. The suspended humans slowly descended to the floor of their containers. Vital signs monitors showed they were beginning to regain consciousness. The door behind Sung-ho slid open. He turned to find Yoon Jun-ki, one of the scientists, standing there with 4 security officers. "Step away from the console," Jun-ki ordered. "This is pointless. You cannot escape." Sung-ho straightened up, his elderly appearance now completely at odds with his confident posture. "I've already disabled your propulsion systems and weapon arrays. Your ship isn't going anywhere without my permission." "Impossible," Jun-ki responded, but uncertainty flickered across his face. "Check your systems," Sung-ho suggested calmly. One of the guards touched a communication device on his wrist, listened, then whispered something to Jun-ki. The scientist's expression changed from confidence to concern. "Even if what you say is true, you're still outnumbered," Jun-ki said. "You can't fight all of us." Sung-ho smiled slightly. "I spent 20 years in special operations before I received my enhancements. Combat was my specialty long before the nanites." The guards moved forward as one. Sung-ho didn't wait for them to reach him. He stepped forward to meet them, his movements economical and precise. Each strike targeted vulnerable points. Each defensive move anticipated their attacks. 30 seconds later, all 4 guards were on the floor. Jun-ki stood frozen, staring at Sung-ho with a mixture of fear and fascination. "How?" he whispered. "Experience," Sung-ho replied simply. "It beats strength every time." Behind him, the first of the captives was beginning to wake up. A young woman blinked in confusion as her cell opened. Sung-ho turned to her. "My name is Lee Sung-ho. I'm getting you all out of here." He returned his attention to Jun-ki. "Now you're going to help me. We're going to the bridge to have a conversation with your commanders about the future of Earth-alien relations." The scientist looked at the guards on the floor, then back at Sung-ho. Slowly he nodded. "A wise choice," Sung-ho said. "Let's go make history together instead of war." The main bridge of the alien ship hummed with tense energy as the doors slid open. Sung-ho walked in calmly, followed by the 12 freed human captives and scientist Jun-ki. Commander Minho stood at the central platform, surrounded by his senior officers. Their expressions showed a mixture of anger, fear, and disbelief. "You've gone too far," Minho said, his voice tight with controlled rage. "Our home fleet has been notified they will arrive within days." Sung-ho nodded. "I know. I allowed that transmission to go through." This seemed to surprise Minho. "You allowed it?" "Of course." Sung-ho moved to the center of the bridge. The other rescued humans stayed close behind him, watching with wide eyes as this elderly man confidently faced down an alien crew. "I want your leaders to understand exactly what happened here." Sung-ho gestured toward the main control panel. "May I?" Before Minho could answer, Sung-ho placed his palm on the smooth surface. The nanites in his hand connected with the ship's systems. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered, then displayed an image of Earth. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Sung-ho said. "Over 7 billion humans, most of them ordinary people just living their lives. Farmers, teachers, doctors, children." He adjusted the display. The image zoomed in, showing different locations around the planet. "But scattered among them are others like me. Sentinels." The screen showed 12 locations, blinking red dots on different continents. Each of us watching, waiting for the day when visitors like you might arrive. Minho stepped forward. "What exactly are you?" "I told you. Project Sentinel. Earth's first line of defense and diplomacy for extraterrestrial contact." Sung-ho's voice was calm, almost conversational. "I was chosen because of my military background, but also because I was good at understanding people, even people from very different cultures." "And the others?" Minho asked. "Similar backgrounds. Some military, some diplomatic corps, some scientists. All chosen for our psychological stability and adaptability." Sung-ho smiled slightly. all appearing to be ordinary elderly humans living quiet, retired lives. Na young Mi, who had been monitoring equipment at the side of the bridge, spoke up. "Commander, his signal has strengthened. He's broadcasting." Minho turned sharply to Sung Ho. "What are you doing?" "Reporting in," Sung Ho replied. "My colleagues need to know what's happening." The screen changed again, showing a map of the galaxy with numerous points of light. "We've known about your people for some time," Sung Ho continued. "Your scout ships have visited Earth repeatedly over the last century. We've been watching, learning, preparing." "Impossible," one of the officers muttered. "Your species calls itself the Nuri," Sung Ho said. "You've visited 43 worlds with intelligent life. On 17 of those worlds you've established trade relationships. On 9 you've set up mining operations after negotiating with the local populations. On 5, his voice hardened slightly, you determined the inhabitants were too primitive to resist and you simply took what you wanted." A heavy silence fell across the bridge. "How could you possibly know this?" Minho finally asked. "The first ship that crashed in 1947 had detailed records," Sung Ho explained, "and the nanites that enhance us were partially reverse-engineered from technology found in that wreckage. We've been listening to your communications ever since." Minho sank slowly into his command chair. "What do you want?" "A choice," Sung Ho replied. "Earth is prepared for either outcome. We can establish diplomatic relations, cultural exchange, perhaps even trade. Or—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The implication was clear. "You're just one man," Minho said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I'm just one sentinel," Sung Ho corrected. "There are 11 others currently active, and each of us can disable a ship like this one." He gestured to the freed humans standing behind him. "These people will return to Earth with me. They will tell others what they experienced here. Gradually, humanity will learn about the wider galaxy. We believe they're ready." "And if we refuse?" Minho asked. "Then we move to Protocol 7, Sung Ho said. "I don't recommend it." Minho looked around at his officers, then back at Sung Ho. "I do not have the authority to establish diplomatic relations." "I know, but you do have the authority to carry a message back to your leaders." Sung Ho stepped closer. "Tell them Earth is protected. Tell them we're willing to talk. And tell them that appearances can be deceiving." Sung Ho extended his hand, a very human gesture of agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Minho stood and reached out his own hand, mimicking the gesture he didn't fully understand. "We will deliver your message," Minho said. As their hands clasped, Sung Ho smiled. After 50 years of waiting, watching the stars, his mission was complete. First contact had been established. Earth's secret guardians could finally step out of the shadows. "Good," Sung Ho said. "Now let's talk about getting these people home."